Welcome back to our Scala class, and today on day 24 we will continue talking about SQL, about the syntax, about the basic create, read, update and delete operations, or CRUD for short. We already learned about many of the read operations in our last lecture, so we'll continue with some more basic, and maybe some intermediate and maybe even advanced operations. We can perform some queries on, again, so no Scala needed today again. We'll return to Scala probably on the next lecture when we try to integrate everything together, but now we'll return to your SQL, and again we are using SQLite. So again, it still follows most of the commands will work on also other SQL dialects, and so we are using dbeaver as our sort of say workbench, right, or as our development environment for testing our queries, right. So we had some select queries, and let me make a new one. We have a SQL exercise day 24. Let's do SQL exercise day 24. We had 23, let's do 24. So I will open up control on bracket. Yeah, so I typed control on the closing bracket, closing square bracket, and I open up a new window. So let's see, what do we want to, our goal is to do some operations which actually change the database. Actually, we created a view last time which actually did modify the database somewhat, but we actually want to add some data and maybe change it, right? Mutate the data inside our database. So I'll start with finding a database, right? And let's check our entity relationship, entity relation diagram, and we see the tables, right? There's my view, right, which we created, and also our basic tables, right? So something simple. I guess we could do artists table, and I guess it would be nice to figure out how to add myself as an artist, right? Why not, right? So let's do that. So first of all, select all from artists, right? And again, I'm going to do limit 20. Auto dbeaver automatically limits. Again, why limit? Well, we are just trying to get a taste of it, right? We are actually, of course, don't need everything, right? So these are the artists, right? Now there's Alanis Morissette, so there's people and there's groups, right? So maybe I would like to add myself. So let's try doing that. Maybe actually, well, let's see. Maybe I'm there, right? Let's see. Maybe I'm already there. So where name. Maybe I did myself. Where name like, right? And let's do all this, right? All this, right? Maybe I'm there. Let's see. Oh, I'm not there, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I'm not there, right? So, how about, well, with the capital V, right? Is there anybody with capital V? Yes, there's lots of various artists, popular choice as Valwise, right? So, yes, so capital V, but actually the thing is, notice, it also works for, I think, Miles Davis, right? It works for not V. So what happens if you want capital V? Well, there is actually a command. We can go to that already. And we can go to globe. We checked like, but there is a command globe. And I don't know if it's actually full standard in a standard. I don't think it's actually in a standard SQL completely, but most SQL dialects will have something like this. It's slightly strong. It's very similar, right? So SQLite globe. However, it matches, it's stronger, it has more better options. For example, things we did in our regex lectures, right? We can do some matching, some stronger matching. So let's take an example, right? We can do globe like this, right? So it should be case sensitive, which is what we want, right? And again, notice how I like using, you see, I should really, it's hard to switch from, right? Let's try this one again. Maybe I made a mistake here, right? So it didn't matter. I mean, this is better, right? This is considered more correct, right? It's hard to switch because we're using double quotes in Scala, and single quotes should be preferred for string matching in SQL. Okay, so let's try it with a globe. Can we actually? I wonder, can you make a duplicate line? Can you duplicate a line? Duplicate row. Unfortunately, there's no shortcut. Well, you could add yourself a shortcut here if you want, right? If you do this often. Oh, not like that. Control Z. No, I hope I can do that. I don't want to do No, I don't want to duplicate the row. I didn't mean to duplicate the database row. So undo that. Well, actually, it will not help me. I'll have to renew database, actually. Let's see. Cancel. Yeah, okay. Phew. Right. I didn't want to persist. Right? Of course, it won't save immediately, but I didn't want to have duplicate row. I meant actually duplicate in a text in a cell, right? So this is actually not what I wanted. Okay, so instead of this, I'm gonna comment this out, right? And use where name, right? Globe, right? And I'll use so what can we do? Can we do this? Yeah, this should work, right? Let's try this one. Right, so that's now it works exactly what we want. It finds all the people who have a capital V. And if I do VA, right, of course, it will have various artists, Marcus Wallace, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Van Halen. Okay, great. All right, so I'm not there, unfortunately. All right, so let's go about fixing it, right? So let's go about fixing it. And we go to insert. So insert, actually I have it here already. But so it's going to insert a new row into a table. So this is actually going to be what we call a crate in a CRUD terminology. So you might be asking, what in the world is CRUD, right? If you don't have this term, you can go on Wikipedia, some other sites, right? But this is basically the 4 basic operations, right, of some sort of data storage, persistent storage, right? So create, read, update, and delete. And it's nice, you know, CRUD does not have a very positive connotation, right? CRUD is like some you know, something, right? But basically, those are the basic operations. That's what you want. And this is actually, I would say, 95% of computer programs are involved in some sort of CRUD work, right? You're always creating, reading, updating, or deleting some sort of data, right? That's what most of the world needs, right? You need to have some, most applications, again, pretty much you know, even games, right? Even games, even, you know, of course, not talking about, of course, data processing, but pretty much it's hard to think of application which doesn't need some sort of create, read, update, delete, some sort of persistent storage, right? Really hard, right? So on the so it's of course very generic. So in terms of SQL, right? So here's a little table. So create, we did the read part previously, so that's select, right? So update, delete, which we'll cover shortly, matches exactly. So in SQL, the create part is insert, right? So again, it's extremely common to use the SQL database as your persistence. What is that? What I mean by persistence? Meaning, well, some data which stay after your application finished running, right? Again, why it's highly structured, has strong types, right? Usually, so database data in your database is usually well structured, right? At least in a well-designed relational database, right? Of course, you can make a mess even in a database, but still. Okay, so let's do insert. Let's do insert, and let's find our syntax, right? So it's not that bad. So insert into a table and values, right? So this will insert a single row. So insert into a table, of course, so we need a table name. This will be artists in our case, right? And you need to do a column names, right? So let's inspect our, where is my, now I'm not trying to see which I'm Chinook DB5, Chinook. So tables, right? And let's do artists, right? If you check, right, well, auto increment, right? That's a good news for us, right? Whoever designed this database, well, in specification, well, when I created it, it's not really that hard. They made the artist ID auto increment. So that means, right, also it's required, not null, right? You could technically have a row with no artist, right? Just an ID, right? Some unknown artist is no name, null, no other columns. But the integer is required, but the good thing is it's auto increment, right? It's extremely common to use auto increment. As an alternative is to actually, well, consider slightly safer in terms of some sort of intelligence gathering, that your IDs are random, basically, you know, hashable big IDs which don't intersect, but that's beyond the scope of today's lecture. But you can make it also, your IDs are much longer. But usually, of course, most databases you just use these auto increment IDs. Again, so main part is that it has to be unique, right? It has to be a unique key which identifies your row, basically your row identifier. of course, so ID makes sense. Okay, so our data, all right, we have it here. We can actually, I think we can see all of it, right? Of course, notice how there's only 275, right? So we should be probably here. Let's see if we can do that, right? Let's see that. So let's see if we can do this. Insert, right? And into table, right? Into table, and of course, table is of the table. Artists, right? Artists. And what do we want to insert? We want to insert columns. So this will be. We could do, if it's only a single column, I think we could skip the parentheses, but I'll leave in parentheses in, since we would usually have multiple columns, right? So for longer, harder to insert data. So I'll do what's the name of the column is name, I believe. Yes, of course, name. It actually tells me, dbeaver tells me what kind of name it is, right? On values, right? And again, nice little red text. And well, I'll do my name, right? All this aspirants, right? Okay, and great. I could do. Let's try dangerously. I'll put my Unicode, right? See how it handles this, right? It should not be a problem, but we'll see, right? So, and of course, semicolon. Let's see what happens. Will it work? Yes. So you see, there's no error message. Updated rows, one row, right? There's finish time. And by the way, this is of course transactions are usually logged, so you can always roll back. But so let's see. So do we see it here? Not here. Here, artists, right? So do I have it here? No, but I can refresh. Let's see, where's my refresher? And I can do basically, I think here, refresh here, F5. Yep, I think I am there. Yep, there I am. So why don't they refresh constantly? Of course, these queries, they cost time, right? In a larger database, you don't want to refresh, right? So again, of course, in a database, the data lived. When I'm doing refreshing, it's all working on our dbeaver side. So dbeaver is just updating its own view, right? So, but otherwise, the database already had my data in already. The moment I made the transaction, executed the transaction here, right? So, right. So that's pretty easy, right? So yes. Oh, yeah. There's actually an example I could have used this. So let's check. Of course, we could check now. If I go through my dbeaver, and where's my dbeaver here, right? So this part here should work. Yep, there's well this source. Okay, great. So it works. Okay, great. And let's see. Well, I want to maybe. So that's our basic. So basic create in CRUD terminology, right? Right. So create, of course. And so the thing is, okay, what happens if I do it again? Let's see. What do you think will happen? Well, it's insert, right? I'm not so again. So what will happen, as you can probably imagine, right? It worked, right? It worked. So if I do it again, I'll have two Valdis, right? So well, that's one too many. But first, maybe I'll change it to, I don't know, somebody else, right? Maybe we'll change it to Jumprava or somebody, right? On some artist which is not there. So let's do that. Move on to our next step. Right, let's see how we're doing this time. We're doing pretty good. Okay, so we are going to do the next update, right? So insert, so update matches exactly the CRUD terminology. Update, right? I'll do a new link here, right? And update table, and we say which values we want to set, right? So in this case, it's a little bit not scary, but a little bit dangerous. You know this. So we use equality for assignment as well, right? In a regular programming language like Scala, we use this for assignment only, right? But in SQL, we have used also for equality, sometimes checking, right? So it's context dependent, this equality sign, this poor little sign. So, right, so update table, right? And yeah, and by the way, we need to, well, generally we need to add an a clause, right? A clause. Why? If I'm completely careless, right? if I do only do this part here, like update table, set column name, what will happen? It will update to all the values, all the rows will have this new value. That's generally what you don't want, right? Unless you want to create a new, I mean, set something to 0, or I don't know, set something, you know, to blank or some default value. Generally, you don't want that. In it, you know, usually you want to have some specific, right? So, and of course then, right, and we can actually limit how many to update. Let's try this one. Actually, I rarely use this, right? But we can actually try this also. So we can limit one to only update one, right? Where we already know how to search, right? And order column or expression, right? And a limit row count, and we could offset, of course, as well, right? So let's try this full recipe. Maybe we have it even here, right? And this is right. Of course, usually it's extremely common to do it by ID. I mean, this is the most common way of doing. Let's do that first, right? So this is most common. I'm not going to do employees. I'm going to do my continue. So I have 277, right? So I could do, right, Control V, right? So not update employees, but update artists, right? And set name, maybe, I don't know, Ruta, maybe Ruta Solis Purena, right? And so I'll do it 277, right? So and of course not employee ID, right? This won't work. So nothing will happen because there's no such thing as employee ID, right? So what we want is artist ID, right? Yeah. And again, the beaver tells me, okay, so this is a hand. So this is how we could do it with Solis Purena, like. Do it directly if you know the ID, right? Which is oftentimes your application will have the ID, right? You can find the ID, you know, from some query beforehand, right? This is quite normal, right? So it worked, and let's see. So while this didn't work, I'll do essay, right? So essay, right? So Santana, or the lot of Santana, and where am I? I'm not actually here. Interesting. Because limit 20, so I'll do so no, right, so there are only two of us. Okay, great. So so we know by glob we can use glob to find it, so let's do that. So let's do one more update, right? So let's do this full update, update artists, right? Set name Maya Solis Purena, again, and we'll do where, and let's do this full thing. So sorry, Control Z. So we'll do this whole search, right? So name globe, right? And of course this is quite dangerous, of course, right? Our name globe, right? Again, the capital name doesn't matter, right? These column names are not case sensitive. So and I'll do this. So I don't want my name to be changed. I want my daughter's name to be changed to the other daughter's name. So of course I'll do what? I'll do limit 1, but I'll be sneaky, offset 1, right? So I skip my own name, right? So I'll be very sneaky. So this is like not maybe often used, I mean, this kind of sneaky stuff, but it could be useful. So again, so update is closely related to select. So whatever you select, right? You could use testing for your values. You could use select and then update, right? So oftentimes you use select, you get the ID, right? First, right? So let's see that, right? Of course, it's really context dependent, of course, what you want, right? So let's see if this works. I'm curious, right? I'm curious, right? Wait, did I work? Oh, here. Yeah, there's an error. Limit 1. Let's see. Where name globe. What did we do wrong? What did we do wrong? Artists name. Where did we go wrong? Did we check? Did I do it incorrectly? This full example, a limit row, order. Do we need order by right, order by. Do we need to do this? I guess not. I thought I didn't have to do this. Order by, well, we could do order by ID, for example. Let's see. Is there a mistake somewhere here? I don't see it, but well, okay. I'll go order by, and order by, I'll do artist ID. Okay, why not? Right? So order by ascending, just to be sure ascending, right? On the limit 1, offset 1. But let's see, can you find a mistake? I don't know, I don't see a mistake here, but maybe there is somewhere. So there is some, let's look at details, right? So, near order by, there's something wrong here. Let's see what's the problem. Where name is globe, this works fine here. So why doesn't it work here? Okay, well, okay, let's live dangerously. Let's do this. If I do this, right, obviously this is not correct, right? If I do this part here, yes, okay. So this part works. So if you imagine now, right, now my name, there's 2 Maya Salzburn, which is not what I wanted. So what I'll do is, right, so this part here, I don't wonder why this, apparently it should work, this full order, or maybe you need to order, not order by, but order. Always go to this limit. And why does it say order? And let's see a full example. Maybe I missed something here. This is, will I show? Yes. Order by. Yes, okay. This looks okay. Okay, so let's try this again. So set name, well, this is Salzburans, right? Again. However, let's do this. Artist ID ascending on limit 1. Let's do that. Let's see if what's, did we miss something here? Let's see. Update artist name. Okay, still doesn't work. Order by, or maybe you have to be order. I wonder, that makes sense. It still doesn't make sense. Yeah, so this doesn't really work. This syntax, I guess that's not something I usually use. Usually I check these simple ones, these work, right? So I guess we will see, maybe we can figure out, we could do details. What is, again, so it's not as easy to figure out the detail, new order, syntax error. Oh, you're getting a syntax error. Maybe one of you can pick up what error I made. Maybe there's something, again, so this full syntax, it should have worked, right? So update employees, right? I could make or by first name, so one person could be set email is lower. Again, so this is, you can do, by the way, there's actual functions for doing lower and things like that, but that doesn't order by first name. Is this looks okay. Maybe ascending is not working, but that doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't work. So again, if I take off the limit, so why doesn't limit? Yeah, again, so if I do this again, we know this will work, right? So this is kind of strange. So this will work. Yeah, this worked. It updated up both rows. So maybe this particular SQLite dialog doesn't support this. I don't know, but it should have, right? Maybe it's an older version, but it should have worked, right? So this update, we could check the official document. This is not official documentation. It just has a nice. This is a real official documentation. Update set where, right? This is how we usually do it. But limit and order by. Maybe you have reverse index. Order by limit. Right, comma. Maybe there's a comma missing. Maybe no. Again, looking this where order by. But this is so rare they don't even show it. Okay, here's the thing. All right, it says there's a compile time option, right? So this is optional. So maybe this syntax is not actually present in my current version of SQLite. So meaning you can enable it. So it's relatively rare, right? So it's actually not enabled in my particular machine. So okay, so that's actually not that again, since it's not maybe crucial. If you really need to, you can get the version which does have it, right? You have to enable it basically when you compile, because SQLite also is a program, of course, and it's built, right? And so you can change some options, right? Okay, so that's if you found something new, actually, something useful, right? Again, so usually the vanilla cases are like these, right? You have specific ID, right? And you update. So again, I'll go back to update 2077, right? And let's check now, and we are back to CD6 to 777. Okay, all right, enough enough updating. Again, let's go to the last but not the least, most dangerous query, of course, is update. It's already dangerous, as we saw, right? Even much more dangerous than updating. More dangerous. So limit is limit on order options are might not be enabled in your SQLite. So I'll give this comment here. This is very useful, right? Yes. So this is. So we run into this, right? Okay. So delete. So delete, which is actually delete in CRUD. Delete in CRUD, right? So same thing, right? So we want to delete something, right? And we want to, well, here you go. So this is extremely dangerous, of course, right? Because you search, if you make a mistake in your search, and goodbye, right? You can delete almost whole. You can completely destroy the table. Of course, you can always. Usually, you can roll back, but still, it could be painful. So what's the golden standard? Since notice how similar delete is to select. So what do you do usually? You do select first, right? So you check first. So idea. So check first with select, right? To see what you want to delete, right? Since syntax is very similar. Syntax is very similar. So what you can do is basically do this select all from artists, right? And we already know, right? Where name, right? Name globe, right? On, again, something like that. Of course, globe, of course, stands for global search. Regular expressions on. It's not actually full regular expressions, but it's very close, right? I could do some more matches, but let's see what happens. So again, same thing. So what we do is, right? We can do. Let's delete 277. So delete, right? So what do we delete? Delete from table, right? From you don't have to say. You say from artists, right? Come on, let's see artists, right? Come on, artists, right? Okay. Oh no, it doesn't even give a shortcut because you're deleting a thing. So we need to specify where. Do you think artist ID, right? Artist ID equals 277, right? And of course, this will delete just that one particular row. Okay. Let's see. Let's execute this. Okay, it worked, right? So. Let's check again. So only myself remains in this particular database. Okay, so we covered the basics of CRUD, right? Create, read, update, delete. Of course, we have not covered how to properly maintain the foreign keys and primary keys, right? Because, well, we create this artist, but of course he has no albums yet, right? So if I need to have an album, right, if I'm gonna make an album for myself, I will probably want to have refer this ID. So let's make an album for myself, right? We can now let's do update, insert into albums. So let's do this little insert into albums, right? So insert. And this will be a little bit more difficult. So because remember, select all from albums, right? Come on, it's not picking up, right? Right. So for those who are about to rock you, right? So we need a new album, right? So notice this album says album ID, artist ID, right? So we'll need to also add this artist ID. So this will be what's insert title. Let's see, how did we do it? Insert into artists and column names. So insert into albums. And we'll do this title, right? And artist ID. Okay, we need that, right? So values. We'll do what? I'll do. Do we need a string? Yeah, let's do string. My amazing Christmas album, right? And I'll do, well, of course it's my, so I'll do 207. I deleted 277, so 276. Again, SQLite in this particular configuration will not check if this is a valid ID, but your database will actually, you can set up so it checks if this actually exists, right? Because, well, it should exist, right? Because you're creating basically a relation, right? You're saying, okay, this 276 represents the artist's name, right? So let's insert this, right? Let's see what happens, right? Let's see what happens if I did it correctly. Let's check our insert syntax again before I make fun of myself, right? Looks okay. It looks okay. Yes, looks okay, right? So again, you can't, right? Let's check. Looks like it worked. On, let's say, order by, well, I'll just order by album ID, right? Descending, right? On limit, maybe limit 5, right? Okay. Oh, there is my amazing Christmas album. Fantastic. And I have, what's the artist? Where is the artist? Oh, there he is. Well, it's all okay. Great. So it works again. So I could add, I could add some songs next, and so on, so on, so on. Right. So, so our CRUD operations are, if I don't like, maybe add something here, right? I could practice also adding some extra changes, right? So, okay. So we saw some nice basic CRUD operations. There's also replace, but I believe it's also not standard. Right. Right. This is not, we're not going to cover it right now because, yeah, this is not, well, not, I don't think it's completely standard. Let's see what else. Let's see what else what we want to cover today before we take a break. Well, for this, we could also create a new table, by the way, also, but that's also really not something we want to. We generally don't need to, again, as a data, you know, in analysis, you won't really need to do new tables. Well, sometimes, basically, right? But you can change the table also, these table issues. Okay, so let's return, or maybe let's since we have time, let's keep going. So let's add. So we have our albums, right? My Christmas album. Let's add some songs to it, right? So we can do this, right? Select all from tracks, right? Right, and we'll do again. I'll order by track ID, descending, you know, limit 10, right? Okay, so, well, this will take quite a bit of work, right? Adding all this data here, right? But still, and also I have to decide what media type. This is, again, so I need to say, okay, is this an MP3, right? Of course, here is it AAC, one is MPEG, right? And genre, what kind of music it is. Is this classical? Is this comedy? Probably comedy, right? We'll do comedy, right? Let's see here, right? What else do I need? No. Okay, price, bytes. Again, this is all extra stuff, right? And composer, right? So let's try this. Let's see if this works. You don't have to, by the way, no. Well, are they required? Well, let's check. Let's check. Is it really required? Let's check our data and properties, right? So not null. So milliseconds, not null. Media type has to be is required. Names required. Apparently you can have a track which is standalone. Price is required, bytes is not required, right? So some things are required, some are required. Okay. Again, most you know, languages, programming languages, when we work with SQL, will have some way of accessing this metadata, right? Saying what's going on, right? And notice you have integers, you have some various data types, right? Integers, numeric. You might say, okay, numeric actually, well, it's what you use for, well, for pricing data, right? Has specific format, right? And integers is what for general data. And of course, nvarchar, a variable number of characters is maximum length, right? Very typical for string type of data. We use nvarchar, right? Okay. So again, but most of these things right now we don't have to worry too much about these things right now. We have any foreign keys here, right? We have 1, 2, 3 foreign keys: tracks, genres, and media types. Okay, so I'll have to decide, right, on again, there's my nice little query, right? So I will see. Let's order. So insert into tracks, right? Right, and what do we need? So we need to go, we could actually, I think we could mix it up, but usually we want to say do it directly. So track ID I don't need to enter, so I'll do what name, right? Album ID, right? Okay, it automatically fills out again so nicely. Media type, right? Yep. Okay. Genre ID, yep, I do that as well. Composer, okay, why not? Right, and milliseconds, yep, I do that. And let's see, can we do this over multiple lines? Let's do that since we are getting, come on. Yeah, as I'm getting so much stuff here. So milliseconds, yes, bytes, yes, and unit price. I'll have very expensive songs. I'll go for most expensive price. Right, okay, so values. Right, now of course I have to match. Again, it's really nothing complicated. So name will be sitting under the tree, right? And so album ID, right? We have album ID. Did we have it? Well, let's check. Select from, where is my select from albums? And cancel. Let's see, save. Okay, cancel. Oh, I guess I didn't complete the query. Right, let's check this again out. Let's see. But I'll need to check actually what I have. Right, I thought I could do this here. This is not incomplete, right? I'll go here. Okay, so 348. So 348, right? 348. Okay, 348. All right. So 348. Right. Unfortunately, again, this you have to know. Of course, in your application, you have to figure this out yourself, right? Get the media type will be 1. We know 22 was a comedy album, right? Composer, all this, right? Again, all this S, right? And so on, right? Will be without any pretensions. Again, and again, I can split over multiple lines. So composer, multiple seconds. So this will be, say, maybe 300. Well, again, say something. So how many minutes? Like let's do 3 minutes. Let's do 3 minutes. Right, 3 minutes, maybe roughly, right? And again, if I mess up on data types, right, I'll do maybe that data bytes will be something, you know. And I don't have any. Well, that's too much, right? So it looks about right? So well, maybe a little less, maybe something like this. It will be compressed song. Okay, and the price will be $2.99. Okay, all right. Let's see if this works. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see if this actually works. It'll be interesting. And it actually did work. All right, and let's see our last track. And we have sitting under a tree. Right, there's there's my track. Everything matches correctly. You can see, okay, that's a comedy. Yes, thank you, that's a comedy. Right, and so I'm gonna go right on. Let's see, media type. Yeah, it's an MPEG, right? And so on, so on, and so on. All right, so now we can find the best-selling tracks and see what's possible. Okay, so of course it gets, so you can, again, if you want to maintain this integrity, right, for database, you have various tools for constraints you can build, so you can't really make a track which does not have a correct key. I can show you. I'll make a mistake on purpose, right? And currently I think here it will not. If I make a album which does not exist, let's say 358, right? Not it's sitting on a tree, yeah, right? And right, something like that, right? That will be even more expensive, right? But this won't be, this album does not exist. Let's see if it allows this transaction, right? If this will work. Right, it actually did work, right? So see, that's the thing with SQL, right? With SQLite, SQLite is again relatively loose. It's the most serious databases will not let you do this, right? If you set up correctly, and also SQLite also you can set up. But here I made a reference to non-existing foreign key, right? So that's not. I mean, again, that's maybe if you're working in a Scala world. So this album, right? It does not exist, right? You see, there's no value. House of Pain, yes, but that's not the album, right? So, right, it's not an error, but there's no reference to this album, right? This foreign key, right? So I'll need, so let's fix it, right? So let's fix this, right? Let's fix this. Yeah, we can do that. So we know the track ID. So let's do this update, right? On set update tracks, right? Set album ID, right, equals 348. We need to fix this, right? And let's see, we need to put a setting. So where, typically where track ID equals 3505, right? So again, doing by hand, of course, you can make it. So usually you won't do. By the way, you won't do this updating by hand. By the way, dbeaver also lets you edit do it by hand like in Excel. You can do it also by hand here as well. Okay, but let's do this with the commands, since that's what's happening. So 3505, 348. Yeah, it worked. And let's see now what's happening with our data. Yeah, looks like okay. We have two albums, right? Looks correct. We have songs, we have prices, everything looks great. All right. Okay. So yeah, I want to show you if you actually do need to change some data, right? You can actually do it by hand as well, right? It will let you do it, right? I could change it here, right? Right. Well, something I could do, maybe C here, right, or something, right? It would work, right? Right. Only question is when you see you have to save it, right? Right. Commit. So what's happening? dbeaver will do what I did by hand, right? What I did here, it will actually do it for me, basically, right? It's just a help, right? But generally you don't want. I'll cancel this. Let's see, where's my canceling? Where's my artists? Yeah, there I go. Cancel, right? Again. So I think that concludes our today's SQL work. I mean the first part for create, read, update, and delete, right? So create, update, and delete, right? So, and I'm going to commit this, and then we'll see about you getting some exercise for yourself. All right. Thank you.